look, it's no time. This is True Hoop's little quarantine Zoom show called Bring It In. It's Monday, which means Adena Jones, True Hoop special correspondent, is here live from the shoe room of her home.
Yes.
And also author Jeff Pearlman. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you.
So we kick off the show on Monday with Adena puts on a show. So let's let Adena do her thing.
Jeff is giving us headboard realness today. I'm digging
it.
It's great lighting. It complements your skin, so I'm here for it. All day. So yeah, pretty, I don't want to say uneventful weekend, definitely great weekend in basketball, a lot of great games, and we now know what we're getting in the finals. I was actually feeling kind of, I don't know how to say, like, nostalgic this weekend. Steve Kerr had his 55th birthday, a friend of the show. And this morning I kind of went down like a lane where I was a little teary-eyed. Do you know if you guys remember this moment when the Golden State Warriors went to the White House and Obama said this?
It is rare to be in the presence of guys from the greatest team in NBA history. So we're pretty lucky today because we've got one of those players in the house, Steve Kerr from the 1995-96 Chicago Bulls.
Oh man, I was like, I miss him so much, especially with all the tax stuff, which I'm sure Gerard will get into and sing his greatest hits today. And then next up, now we know the Lakers are headed to the finals. I thought CBS Sports did a really, really great job with this tweet. It was like, some said he'd never lead the Lakers to the finals. Some said he was overhyped, but he never stopped. He never quit. Alex Caruso is headed to the NBA finals. Best of luck. Wait, did someone just take a picture of the screen?
It wasn't me, that's for sure. It did sound like it to me, yep.
Okay, well, I mean, make sure you get my best side. Either way, either way in that sense. I think everyone saw viral LeBron's moment sitting on the court. It was a great juxtaposition to see the same mindset. ESPN sent out this tweet, you know, how Kobe and LeBron celebrated the Western Conference final trophies. They both just sat on the court. It's like more work to be done. Kobe sitting there with his arms folded. And I think we remember what the press conference was afterwards, like, job's not done. Job's not done. And same thing LeBron had to say. You can check him out here.
Hey, LeBron. Frank said he felt like you have played with a chip on your shoulder all year, and if you can remember way back to September and October, this is obviously the washed king year. What does it mean for you to have this moment after everything that you went through with your first year with the Lakers, and then also what does it mean to this team after every single obstacle that you guys kept hitting this season to still end up where you were trying to get all year?
Well, for me personally, the job is not done. But it's great to hit moments throughout the course of a journey and appreciate that. And this is all part of the process, but the job is not done for me personally. Thank you.
Between job is not done mentality and 16 out of, 100 and plus votes in MVP, I feel like LeBron is back in zero dark 30. And I don't know, sweep, I'm not saying it. I feel like Coach will come on and tell me differently. Coach celebrating the holidays today, so we miss him for sure. There was one thing, going back to the Steve Kerr White House visit, one thing I have not seen, and I just think it's the unspoken thing. Normally around this time, especially with Trump in office, you start to hear reporters ask teams, so are you visiting the White House? What are you going to do? And then we get that quote, nobody. Radio silence right now. I just think it's unspoken. It's like in any of the sports, no one's asking that right now, which is a pretty sad state for our country right now. And then, as everyone knows, my beat, Jeff, if you haven't heard my beat here is a Big Face Coffee beat. It is the best story to come out of the bubble, I feel. So Malika Andrews did this great piece on the barista battle that's heating up in the bubble. So Big Face Coffee, everyone knows, not going to go back. It's Jimmy Butler's side hustle while he's in the bubble. And I'm glad we get more Big Face as they head into the finals. But he has some competition with an assistant trainer on the Heat. Here's the assistant trainer. I think it's Brandon. I forget his name actually. I wrote it down.
His name is Littleface. Obviously.
His name is Littleface. Basically,
yeah.
No, it was Gilliam. That's what it's. My bad. So it's Gilliam. Gilliam is the proprietor of Littleface Coffee. Funny thing about Littleface, they're business savvy. Let's just put it that way, right? Like Jimmy's cups of coffee are $20. Littleface, $5. It's for the little guy. You know what I'm trying to say? And the great thing about Littleface too is it's self-serve. It's kind of like 7-Eleven. You can roll into his room when he's not there, pour yourself a cup. Comes in the same white cups that the hotel is giving out, so it's pretty dope. Real lo-fi on the signs at Little Face Coffee. The tagline, the best little coffee shop in the bubble. I'm happy to see free enterprise thriving in the bubble, because why shouldn't it? Merch, obviously, if you need. It's not Lululemon, which is what Jimmy Butler is being sponsored by, but it does the job. It does the job. Also, this has nothing to do with nothing, but Fat Bear Week is happening. I know last week we talked on the show about working out during the quarantine, and it's just not happening. Judy and I, it even got Judy's face on the show, and we're like, fuck no. So we found our mascot. It's this park, the Katami National Park. They hold a March Madness-esque bracket where they have fat bears, and you get to vote the fattest bear. The thing about fat bears is, like, we're at the point where bears are to hibernate, so they're like really putting on the pounds now, and I dig it, right? I really dig it. You can go to this place and actually vote for the bears, and while you're there, I feel like this is the one bright spot in my life right now with, like, Trump and taxes and everything. I'm actually donating here to Fat Bear Week. So I was like, I'm donating here before I donate to Biden, but I guess I'll get to Biden for sure. But
can we just pause a second on the names? Like, one of them has the really cool name Chunk.
Yes.
He's matched up against someone named 719.
Yeah, the thing is that they all get numbered. I know, like, 719 didn't even get a name.
Sorry.
And the thing is, that's like their bear tag number, and so they've
Yeah.
been watching them go from skinny to super fat. And I mean, you know, just in our society, we don't embrace big bonedness, and nature is here for it. And I really feel like we've all been hibernating, and I too am a fat bear. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I got for you guys today. I'm trying to stop sharing, but I can't find I can't stop sharing. I can't find my mouse, but I'm excited to hear about Jeff's new book. I mean, it's all over the Twitter spheres, so let's get into it.
Wait, Adena, the way you donate, do you bet on a bear? Did you pick a bear? Are we backing
So you can just donate. It's on the actual page.
Okay.
So you can back a bear, but I mean, come on, back a bear and put your money on it.
Yeah, no, cool. Well, thank you, Adena.
No problem.
Welcome, Jeff.
That was amazing. I'm being serious. That was a freaking amazing 5-minute stretch right there.
Thank you.
That made my morning how good that was. That was
Yeah.
amazing.
Special correspondent duties. I appreciate you, Jeff. That means a lot.
Adena doesn't fuck around. Yeah.
Not at all.
That was really good. I just want to say I was embarrassed to say I was the one who took the screenshot because I love that tweet. The Caruso tweet was so ridiculously good, and I didn't want to forget it. And then I was like the guy who farted in the classroom, and you're like,
and it's always the person's like, yeah, who did that? Or it's like, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes, like, you'll see somebody doing something stupid in the supermarket, and you're like, yo, I'm about to take a picture. Your flash goes off, and you're like, fuck.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So,
But
Jeff,
problem.
you follow the protocol. If you give it 4 or 5 minutes, then you're free to confess the fart.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, I did it.
Wait, so Jeff, I'm going to read a little bit from your own bio, from your own blog. New York Times bestselling author of 9 books. The latest is 3-Ring Circus, Kobe, Shaq, Phil, and the Crazy Years of the Lakers Dynasty, which just came out. You're a former Sports Illustrated senior writer, ESPN.com columnist, staff writer for Newsday, and I didn't know this, the Nashville Tennessean. You wrote a weekly column for The Athletic, contributed basically everywhere. You co-host the Two Writers Slinging Yang podcast, and you have a blog and Twitter account, and you mentioned Hall & Oates in your bio.
Yes.
What the hell?
What the hell? Hall & Oates is the greatest rock and roll duo of all time. And they've been more sampled in hip hop than any other
That's true.
mainstream non-hip hop artist you'll ever find. And just the
Yeah.
beat that I Can't Go For That alone is,
I
you know.
can't.
Oh,
big,
wow.
big,
I was
big.
like, I consider myself a hip hop head, and I was like, tell me one song Hall & Oates is, and then you.
What?
Apparently, I know nothing.
So many of them. And yeah, there's a great, if you're really searching around, Twista did almost a remake of a Hall & Oates song. That's one of the great, anyway. Yeah, Hall &
Okay.
Oates.
Do you watch Live from Daryl's House?
I do, but he stopped making them. And
Yeah.
now he's been posting them as repeats, not telling people the repeats. But yeah.
I didn't. So I enjoy the idea of Live from Daryl's House very much, and I'm actually a big KT Tunstall fan, and she was on it. That was a good one. But he's such, like, it annoys me the degree to which he makes every guest like hero worship his song. You know what I mean?
He also He wears sunglasses indoors all the
Way
time.
too much.
It's a huge problem for me.
Well, huge problem.
Like Oates never wears sunglasses indoors.
No, he would not.
Always. It's a big
Yeah.
Is
problem.
it sad that I wouldn't recognize Hall or Oates
Oh.
if they walked into my house right now?
Do you
It's
do you
I'm
feel like
fine
you
with
know
that. Yeah.
you know a lot of Hall and Oates songs?
That's the thing. I probably know a lot of their songs, but I mean, like if I heard one, okay, I'm feeling very young right now, so I'm just gonna stop talking.
Yeah.
Every human being in the world knows at least one Hall and Oates song. As a
Jeff's
guest.
about to sing. You're about to sing now.
I can't do it because I already did the screenshot thing, but everyone knows a Hall and Oates song.
I mean, you just said I can't go for that, so I know that. No, I know
Alright.
that one.
She's a
Exactly.
man eater.
Okay,
Rich
got it.
Girl, Private Eyes. Come on. Yeah.
Okay.
Private eyes are watching you. Yeah. Anyway, okay. This is not how I thought the show was going to start.
Just not the Hall and Oates
What
hour.
I did think was Hold on, Sour. Yeah.
Legal says we have to pay for rights to this music, by the way. I'm just saying.
When I'm singing it, even
Anyway.
those aren't the notes they wrote. I promise you that. All right. So I was just doing a little homework for the show, reading your blog and your Twitter account, and then I come across first your new dog's Instagram, which is incredibly cute. But then I learned about the old dog, which died, and oh my God, Jeff, you're a really powerful writer. And then we have to. Oh, there's the new dog. This is good. Can you tell us about this dog here?
This is Poppy, and we lost our dog 3 months ago. It was for anyone who's lost a dog. I'd never lost a dog before. It was my first dog. And as a writer, you're always home with your dog, so your dog's always with you.
My dog's right there.
Your dog's right behind you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it goes, right? And they're just with you, and they're just so happy. And there's already reference on this show, like 2020 is such a nightmare. Trump is such a nightmare. Everything is so dark. And the dog, you'd see the dog, and then your dog dies in that year, and it just tore my heart out. So it was 3.5 months ago, and it seemed quick, but we really just need that love in our house. A little extra love in the house. So we got a new dog, and her name's Poppy. It's just right there.
Yeah. It makes a difference. These little things. I mean, little things. It makes a difference, right?
It really does.
So yeah, you wrote this amazing thing about. I mean, if you don't mind, I'm gonna read a little bit about your dog. She's not normal as a replacement. No dog can replace the Nooms, but she's a great new pet who I believe fills a gap we've missed. Mostly though, she's good news. God, I need good news. This week, my book came out. It's gone very well. And now Poppy is here. She's a tremendous reminder of the importance of having things to look forward to, keeping life fresh and new and as vigorous as possible. COVID has certainly made that so much harder, but it's important to never stop trying. I like that.
Thank you.
You also that I'm reading about your old dog, and I cannot believe this. I'm having like a deja vu thing from your life, but this dog is not the dog I'm talking about. We had 2 dogs ago, was a dog named Dexter, who was a total like hard ass. He was a mean dog. and he had like attitudes, and so we invented a right-wing Republican attitude for Dexter. At that time we didn't have kids, so we focused way too much on the dog. But at one point, I think my mom was a little worried about us because we talked about the dog too much. And no joke, my mom calls, she's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And I said, my mom still remembers this. My wife sees it as kind of a low point, but I was like, "Oh, Dexter called me a fag the other day," which is exactly how Dexter talks.
Dexter was an asshole, it sounds like.
We quite literally had to put Dexter to sleep because he was like dangerous and violent. Yeah, but anyway,
God.
yeah, but you did the same thing. You had the same thing. You had a right-wing dog.
I had a dog. She was very, very into Sarah Palin. She really thought Sarah Palin knew all the answers. And my parents never had a dog, and I'd be like, yeah, dog really loves Sarah Palin. My mom would just be like, "What are you talking about?" We made for a good time.
Yeah. Okay, so you wrote a book. We at some point should talk about it. I was wondering if I could convince you to tell us the Samaki Walker story.
Oh, of course. So it was 2002, and the Lakers are in Cleveland, and they basically, before they were playing the Cavs that night, and before game in shoot-arounds, they would do half-court shots. First guy to make him, everyone has to pay him $100. They would do this regularly on the road, which speaks to the wealth of an NBA player versus a writer. But and Kobe makes it, and give me my money, everyone give me my money. So everyone's paying his money. Samaki Walker, Laker forward, doesn't have $100 on him because he was wearing sweatpants, and most people generally don't carry $100 around with them in cash. So Kobe's like, "Yo, Maki, I want my money." And Samaki's walking out, "Get it to you later." Well, later comes, Maki, you got my money. I don't have it for you. Then he gets on the bus. They're on the bus again. This is later. And he walks into the back and he goes, Maki, I want my money. And Samaki Walker goes, so it's just saying like, is this fool still asking me for this?
Mm-hmm.
Kobe Bryant brings back his fist and pops Samaki Walker in the side of the face on the bus. Now, Samaki Walker is about 6'9". He's a big guy. And he stands up and he was sitting next to Jelani McCoy, former Lakers center. He says, did this just hit me? He's like, he did. And Shaq is going, yo, you got to fuck him up. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you can cuss it.
Oh, no, it's
my favorite part of the show.
Oh,
it's a pandemic, like, Jeff. Do what you need to do.
Oh, yeah, good point. Bursting pandemic. He's like, yo, you got to fuck him up. And Samaki Walker yells at Phil Jackson, Phil, stop the bus. Stop the fucking bus. And Phil Jackson's like, okay. And stop the bus. And Samaki Walker dares Kobe. He's like, let's go right now. Let's go. And Kobe Bryant's like, nah, man. I'm not going to fight you. No, man. And Samaki Walker basically gets on the bus and he's like, yeah, I didn't think so, bitch. And they get to the hotel in Cleveland. And there's a voice message on Samaki Walker's phone. This is pre-iPhone, so it's just waiting there. And it's Kobe Bryant sobbing. Yo, Maki, I'm so sorry. I don't know what got into me. We're buddies. I just blah, blah, blah. Sobbing. Samaki Walker's like, what the heck is this? And he gets to the arena later and someone says, Shaq's bodyguard, Jerome Crawford, actually says, Samaki was in a room by himself. He's like, yo, we got this fool out here who wants to talk to you. It's Kobe Bryant. He's like, yo, Maki, I'm so sorry. I don't know what got into me, blah, 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 blah. And Samaki Walker told me the story. And the point he was trying to make in the illustration he was trying to present is sort of that there was this guy who never was fully comfortable. Like, there was a lot about presenting this tough front. From the time he arrived in the NBA, I'm Kobe Bryant, you don't mess with me. And that behind it, there was always this, teammates were always wondering, like, who exactly is this guy and what is making this guy tick? And it was never that clear because there was always this front he needed to put up and this image he needed to put up. I just thought that was a very vivid illustration of that moment and that sort of idea.
There were two things that you had this little detail, which was the Lakers had like an understanding that you had 48 hours to pay debts.
Yeah.
I freaking love that.
Yeah. Forgot about that. That's true.
And the other one was somebody had a line about like, oh, this was Kobe's, and then they mentioned a mobster name. I forget. This was Kobe's.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Was it Ben Siegel? What was it? Beanie Siegel?
Beanie Siegel, the rapper?
Yeah. The rapper.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then later he was compared to MC Hammer's gangster rap efforts. So there were multiple. Yeah.
It's funny. Beanie Siegel is from Philly too. So.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
That's probably exactly why I said it. So, but this struck me as Kobe did have this like, and then later, oh my gosh, another. I happen to live fairly close to the Solberry School, the New Hope Solberry School, which you're basically, so years later in the book, Kobe's in the NBA and he's I guess it's not years later actually, but he's matched up. He's trying to use all these dribble moves against elite NBA defenders and not getting anywhere. And you have the name of the guy from New Hope Solberry. Oh, Chad Hoppenwasser. There you go. Wait, is that really his name?
Yes. I went back and found some players in that era, just
that's a name.
Chad Hoppenwasser is perfect.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
there was one footnote in the book that I saw was going around, and I just sent it to Judy that I thought was pretty funny. I don't know, Jeff, if you saw it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Judy, if you could pull it up. It was from Stackhouse. I sent it to Judy privately, so just waiting for the magic to happen.
Can I take a screenshot when this comes up or no?
Yeah, you can definitely take a screenshot. Miriam Fader, who's I used to work with and edit her, awesome, lovely young woman. So I'm gonna actually have to read it off of my screen because it's kind of tiny here, but it's a footnote. It says, I reached out to Stackhouse, a nice man I once profiled for the Wall Street Journal. He DM'd back, what's up, brother? Hope all is well. Probably not the one to talk much about Kobe to expand on the myth of him beating me as a high schooler. But to his credit, I've never heard him say it, but he hasn't denied it either. So basically, fuck him. That's what it says. I can't read. I can't see the page above it, but that shit was hilarious.
Thanks. I had to move my chair. I had to move my location because of my charger. Sorry about that. The funny thing about that, was trying to explain to someone. So I live in California now, but I'm from New York, and I was thinking about the final way he said that reminded me so much of growing up. What he wrote when you'd be like, "Yeah, I don't care if you bought the donut or not, but fuck you." Like it was like it had this like like but fuck you. It like made when he wrote that, I just thought it was one of the funniest little add-ons to a quote ever.
Yeah. What was this? Yeah. I mean, when you're like 11, that's the answer to everything is fuck him. Fuck him.
Oh, fuck you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I assume I know what the story was above. Was it just like that myth of him actually beating him in high school?
Yeah. So it was, Kobe, when he was a lower Marion, would have a chance to run with the Sixers, and it was him and actually one of his teammates who would go to Sixers camp and throw in, and there's all this myth about Kobe like dominating the camp, and as the years passed, it's like, and Kobe then dunked on so and so, and Kobe and blah blah blah, and he clearly played well, because there was a moment when he was in camp, and it was John Lucas was the coach of the Sixers at the time. And someone said to him, a GM was like, "So who's the best? How are you feeling about your two guard?" And he was talking about Stackhouse. And Lucas said, "Well, he's the second best two guard I have here." And the guy goes, "The second best two guard?" He goes, "Who's the first?" And he goes, "A high school kid named Kobe Bryant." You're going to hear of. So he was really, really good, but he was really, really raw. And for years, I think it bugged Stackhouse how people are like, the legend of Kobe involved dominating Jerry Stackhouse, which he really didn't. He just played well.
Got it.
There's another story I'm wondering if you could talk to us about, which is he went into the Sunny Hill League. His dad got him in the Sunny Hill League, and then well, can you just tell us what happened?
Well, he didn't play well. You're talking about the
Right.
first year he was
Right.
So basically, he's a kid who came over from Italy, and he really grew up in Italy. And he shows up at the Sunny Hill League, which is a famous, up and coming basketball league, and he's wearing knee pads, like, because he was used to wearing knee pads to play basketball, which he did when he was in Italy. So he shows up in knee pads. But when he signed up for the camp, you had to put like what your future plans were. And most of the kids, even though obviously the dream was the NBA, were writing, I want to go to dental school. I want to be this or that or blah, blah, blah. And Kobe Bryant, under future plans, writes NBA. And that's it. And people are like, who the hell is this guy? And the funny thing is, he was not good his first year there. He really was like, the adjustment from Italy to America was a very tough basketball adjustment for him. He was playing against not very good players, scoring, 50 points a game and just dominating his youth leagues. And he came over here.
And the kids in Italy said that to him. The kids in Italy said in Italian, which you quote like, "Okay, you can beat us up, but you're not going to do this in America."
Yeah, and they were right. He showed up and he got his ass kicked, and but he was really steely and really determined about it. I mean, to me, the perfect example is he goes to the ABCD camp and he plays okay, but he's not like Marbury was the MVP that year. And he actually tells Sonny Vaccaro, the director of the camp, he apologized to him for not playing well enough and said, "I'm going to come back next year and be the MVP." He came back next year and was the MVP. The guy had, say what you want about Kobe Bryant for good and for bad during his career. I don't think I've ever seen anyone, maybe even including Jordan, who set more goals for himself and then actually accomplished the literal goals he set for himself. It is I think it's the number one reason people out here freaking worship that guy, is because he's this exemplification of when you lay something down and you work at it and you work at it and you make it happen. Like, that was him.
He didn't plan on stinking for long, you write about his Sunny Hill appearance. And then later, what he lacked in social skills, he made up for with doggedness, which is just undeniable. That one camp, the ABCD camp, if I'm right, ends with Steph like dunks over the 6'9" guy and then just walks onto the bus.
Yeah.
The best thing to do.
So Steph.
It was an awesome period I love that period. Back then, in the mid 90s, my roommate, I lived in New York. I was working for Sports Illustrated. My roommate was the editor of Slam magazine, this guy, Russ Bankson.
Yes, Russ.
Oh, you guys know Russ?
Yeah.
His house also kind of looks like, or at least he has a storage unit that's like 3 times the size.
Let me tell you,
sneakers.
We lived together on the 3rd floor walk up above a Chinese restaurant that always smelled like Chinese food. And our apartment was filled with literally what is behind you. And bikes hanging from the wall. And Russ would come in at 3 a.m. with his shins bloodied and blah, blah. And so we lived together. We went to Delaware together, and then we lived together.
Small world.
And he was the editor of Slam magazine at this time. And it was such a cool period of basketball. It was just the Iverson, the Marbury, Kobe, Steve. It was just an amazing collection of people. And what they all had in droves was this audacity, like this, like, I'm going to be great. I'm going to tell you how great I'm going to be, and watch. It's going to be on my tattoo. It's going to say I'm going to be great, and then I'm going to be great. It was just, it's my favorite period of basketball, and he was, you know, kind of an epicenter of it.
Wait, do you know Tony Gervino?
Of course.
Okay, so that's how I got my start in basketball. Do you know this story? So when Allen Iverson had his tattoos airbrushed off the cover of the NBA's official magazine.
Hoop magazine. Was it
Hoop magazine? Yeah.
Hoop magazine. The NBA needed to import authenticity, right?
Yeah.
So they sought the editors of Slam, right? So then Tony and his managing editor, Anna Gebbe, who I went to high school with.
I know Anna very well.
Hired away. Yeah. So Anna's great. We're still in touch. And then she called me. I was like a real journalist. I worked on like, not sports. And she knew I was a basketball fan. And she was like, can you do me a favor? We'll give you $100 to ask Jason Williams, the Nets power forward, 2 questions. We'll settle up to drive over there and ask him 2 questions. And it was the greatest. I started with the best interview I would ever do in basketball. And it's just been downhill ever since. Because Jason, it was so long ago that Jason, one of the questions was, do you use email? And he said, oh, I love email. Every time I get in the hot tub, I have my staff print them all out and bring them to me.
Print them out. He didn't even have like a device to watch them on. That's crazy. And it's so funny you said bring in authenticity. I was like, can we just say Black culture?
No, they're both white.
No, I know they're both white. I know they're both white, but it was like, we just airbrush this man and his like culture. So let's bring in Black culture, but like via white people, which is what happens all the time. No shade to Slam. Like, I love Slam, and I'm part of Slam's coaching tree also. I can't count how many times I wrote for free online, but was so happy to have my shit in Slam. It's definitely a great magazine. And I worked with Ben Osborne. He also was exactly. And Shamika Holsklaw, I had her Slam cover on my wall forever. So
in the Knicks jersey.
Yes, in the Knicks jersey. And it was like, is she the next Michael Jordan? And she was the first woman on the cover of Slam, I believe.
Might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. The timing would be right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say, it's funny how you say it's been all downhill for you since the Jason Williams interview. I would argue it's also been all downhill for Jason Williams.
Wait, what was the other question? You said, do you use email? And then what was the other one?
Oh my God. It was one of my favorite magazine gambits ever. Was they had Ask Jason Williams, and they would get someone like me to go to each of the different Jason Williams and put the same question to them, and then they put the answers together. So I went once with like maybe 8 or 10 prepared questions, and then they had like a year's worth of Ask Jason Williams, because they put like, do you use email? I can't remember the other questions right now. I probably will as soon as the show's over. But but then they put it with like, white chocolate and J. Williams. I was like, this is, as a reader, I'm like, this is what I want to read. This ridiculous concept that's well put together. Super fun.
Can we? I need to bring that concept back. I don't know. I got to figure out how many players have the same name right now.
Well, and one of the problems with it though was that power forward Nets Jason Williams is the best interview in maybe the history of the league. Yeah. And white chocolate is the worst. So like, you couldn't actually put the answers side by side in print, because it was like unreadably boring to read. Like, I don't know, email seems kind of cool. And that would be the end of it.
Yeah.
Actually, and yes, Adena, to your point about Black culture. Yes.
Yes, for sure.
On that note, can we tell the story of the Orlando Sentinel poll and how it repelled Shaquille O'Neal from Orlando?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I'm happy to.
I'm like, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Or we could get Adena to do it. It might be fun.
I saw you posted it on social media. That was cool on Twitter. Basically Shaq he's about to be a free agent, and he's debating whether to go back to Orlando or not. And his agent does not want him to go back to Orlando. His agent has seen him as a star, like a star with a capital S, for a long time. And kind of, Orlando is not a star's town, So there's a lot of back and forth. The Lakers are throwing everything they can at Shaq, and the Magic are dragging their feet, and they're really being difficult. And they're owned by, you're not going to be surprised, the DeVos family, our famous educational secretary's family, and they definitely question why these large black men are not more loyal to the family. There's definitely a lot of that, and a lot of discomfort in the locker room with the Magic ownership. Or put differently, they just seem like a bunch of racists. and Shaq was going back and forth, you know, to be blunt. And, you know, Shaq on the one hand, he has a house in Orlando and blah, blah, blah. On the other hand. So the Orlando Sentinel does a poll, and it's basically, you had the wording up. I don't remember the wording. It was basically, is Shaquille O'Neal worth? Is that what it was? Is Shaquille O'Neal worth 120 million? Is that what it said?
I don't have it. It was 115 million over 7 years, I think, is what it said.
Right. Is Shaquille O'Neal worth 150 million over 7 years? First of all, it's the most misleading poll ever because nobody's worth 115 million over 7 years. You know, like, I'm just saying, like, in the world, if you take that out of context and you're like, is this guy worth 115 million? No, of course not. It's this guy. But in the context of, oh wait, Juwan Howard just got 110 million to play for the Washington Wizards, Bullets at the time, I think. Mm-hmm. Of course he is. But this poll goes out and the overwhelming response is no. Just no. He is not worth the money. And at the time, the 96 Olympic team, which Shaq is a member of, is training in Orlando. So they all see, this is when you would see the newspaper. The newspaper comes out and all the players are just ragging on Shaquille O'Neal. Like, you're going to play here? Barkley in particular, you're going to play here? When this is what they think of you? Seriously? And that poll, I talked to Shaq about it. Just, I'm not saying it was the be-all, end-all, whether he stay or goes, but it wounded him majorly and hurt his feelings majorly. And he felt like, I put in 4 really good years here. I busted my ass for you guys. And this is it. 90% of you say I'm not where, you know. And that was kind of, if there was a push out the door moment, that was the push out the door moment, was that poll.
And I don't think, like, Charles Barkley has often been a complicated figure for me because he's like just so wants the league to be the way it was 20 years ago or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, just let Steph go win a championship shooting jumpers. Charles, it's fine. But on this stuff, he's the MVP. I'm going to read the quote from Charles in response to this poll to Shaq. Are you fucking kidding me? You bring glory to this redneck one-horse town, and this is what they think of you? Get out as soon as you can. Fuck these people.
Wow, redneck, being from Leeds, Alabama to Orlando. That's a reach, but I get it.
But that's like, I feel like if you're Shaq's bruised soul, feeling the victim of racism, right? Like, this is what you want to hear, right? Like,
but also there's an element,
okay about yourself. Like,
there is an element, especially when you're around a sort of a quote unquote dream team like that. There is a lot of peer pressure that comes along with it, and the idea that all these guys are sort of dogging on you, and they're all reading this, and that level of disrespect. I mean, I think that was really painful. You know, I don't think he was going back to Orlando either way, but I really think that sort of nailed it. Like, I'm not going back here.
You think if he wasn't around those guys at that time, because I feel like they were putting the battery in his back, like, yo, you gonna let them talk about you like that? You gonna let that happen? Like, maybe it necessarily wouldn't have happened, or happens the same way.
The bottom line is Orlando. I mean, the Lakers ponied up with $120 million, and it basically, how it went is the Lakers would offer a huge amount of money. The Magic would drag their feet, and eventually, oh my God, he might leave, give the money. Then LA would offer more money. Then Orlando would drag the feet. And the one thing Jerry West did that really kind of made a difference is he made this trade. It's one of the best trades in NBA history, and nobody talks about because of the impact of it. He sent Anthony Peeler and George Lynch to the Vancouver Grizzlies for 2 second-round picks. And it was 2 nondescript players basically in NBA history, but it freed up all this money, the needed money they need to reach the next threshold. And once they did that, when Orlando found out that trade was made, their general manager actually called Vancouver and was like, I need to speak to Stu Jackson, who's the GM of Vancouver. And he's like, Stu's not busy. And he says to the receptionist, he's like, please tell me this trade wasn't made. Please tell me this trade wasn't made. And then he found out it was, and he just knew.
Wow.
Stu.
Wasn't he like the dean of discipline at one time? We called him. Yeah.
Wow, good call. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I worked at NBA in the offices, like one time he came by and just waved to us. And I guess it was because of basketball and what it does to his hands, but it was like all the jam fingers in the world when he waved. And I was like, that's what basketball does to you.
Yeah.
It hurts you. It does.
Yeah.
It does. You play that much, it hurts you.
Yeah.
That's a little, so Chris Paul, to me, with the quote of this year that will matter most next year in the NBA, maybe you don't have a ranking for that. I do. Mine is, Chris Paul saying that players want to feel good about the jersey that they pull on. Like, so he's like, you know, they were in a million Zoom calls during lockdown, and he said it was mostly players wanting to understand from Chris Paul how their owner felt about Black Lives Matter. And, you know, I guess some owners have put on a little show here. They're trying to, like, you know, Wyc Grousbeck's trying to win that one, right? But this DeVos family is, I mean, this story is one of 100, right? And I just feel like, wow, we have to really think about what this is going to mean for next year and the year after that, and draft picks and free agency. And I feel like this is a flashing red light of right-wing politics from this family.
Well, I actually think it's really interesting. I love that. I love seeing athletes finally ask that question about ownership. I really do. I always say, like, I really think, so I've written a lot about college football over the years, just as far as in books. And I am waiting for the day you have these coaches who descend into dilapidated inner cities. So some coach comes to Gary, Indiana, and he goes to an apartment, and the school system is terrible, and that it's underfunded, and that the government is slashing funding to after-school programs, and that they're slashing lunch programs, and that the Republican Party is demonizing these people left and right. I would love for freaking either a parent or even the 18-year-old kid to say, did you vote for Trump? Like, are you? So, yeah. And I think it's become a fair freaking question. I think it's become a really fair question. And I would love to hear more people ask that. You want me to wear your uniform? So are you voting against my interests? When you say everything, you tell me everything, and I know you have a video arcade in the rec room of the, and I know everyone gets a luxury chair, a first-class chair, but are you voting against my interests? And I love more people asking that. And I love that these people, because members of the Magic were kind of horrified by the DeVos family. It was just a little early in the movement of it all to ask openly about it, but they were concerned about it. Obviously that family, because they were nasty.
Well, and there's the NBA can function as reputation laundering, right? Like you can be Mikhail Prokhorov, like really controversial oligarch in Russia, but you can be like goofy fun guy who does like Tibetan martial arts, and if you buy an NBA team, or Mark Cuban's like a fairly uninteresting like vein popping out of his forehead software guy who doesn't get invited to a lot of parties until he's and he has his primetime show, right? Like if you're the DeVos family with their generations of interest, which are like pretty profoundly, extremely obviously against regular people and players' families, say, do you get to be just like, I was there was a moment of All-Star Weekend, I forget which city, where like a giant elevator door opened in the back of some stadium, and out comes like the patriarch of the DeVos family, who's no longer with us, and his family, and 10 people, powerful, influential, and people just dropped everything to just fawn over him as he rolled out of the elevator. And I just felt like, whoa, do you get that here? Like, we have that for you here? Are we offering that? Like, it doesn't matter what you do with your dollars and your mouth. Like, you're welcome here because you have a lot of money. Is that how it goes?
Basically, I mean, it's funny when you mentioned that. I thought about Stephen Ross, right? I think we mentioned on the last show, part owner of the Dolphins, and on one end he's having a party for Trump in the Hamptons, but on the other hand he gets to look good because he has a nonprofit for inner city youth, part of the Miami Dolphins, right? And I think Gerard said it best. It's like, it's not enough to be here for and give money for under-supported youth, but you have to be anti-racist also, and everyone loves that phrase now. But yeah, it does give you the cool factor, and that's why most people are actually owning teams. And TrueHoop has taught me that, actually, that it's not always the most lucrative thing, but it looks cool on a piece of paper, and you get invited to all the cool parties, right?
You do. I feel like Jeff's about to drop some wisdom on us here.
Well, no, I was going to say, I wrote my last book before the Laker book was about there was an old football league called the USFL. It's called the United States Football League. Yeah. And Donald Trump was one of the owners of the team in the league. And it was all about power, and it was all about being in the club. Like, he wanted to be in the club of NFL owners. He bought a USFL team to get in the NFL. And all these guys, like, they're all like these big, like, swinging dicks, like who's the most powerful, who's the blah, blah, blah. And like, owning a sports team and being able to walk into a locker room and take your friends into the locker room and see LeBron James shake your hand or Chris Paul shake your hand, like, that is an aphrodisiac of power. It is for these guys. And it's about being in that club, the big dick club, that's what they used to call it. And it's vile and to me,
wait. Who called what the big dick club?
That's what in the 80s they used to call it. The the terminology they use for guys who were just trying to show off all they had to show out.
Yeah.
You know, they were trying to show off the size of their manhood
Yeah.
by owning a team and being able to
Yeah.
walk into a locker room. That was the old phrase of it all.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always called it
And-
like, you know, when the guys get at it, I'm like, oh, so you put your dick on the table. Oh, you put your dick on the table.
Right.
Like, who's the biggest one?
But it was, I mean, to me, Jerry Jones, a Cowboys owner, is the most disgusting of all. He's a vile right winger, and he's out there kneeling. But it's only a, you know, like they basically, it's guys like that who steal this idea and steal the concept and steal the meaning and take it for their own. They're no better than Trump. They're just, he's like, it just, to me, and I've had good relations with Jerry Jones as far as writing. I don't give a shit, like vile, disgusting.
Yeah. He has like a bus full of women that he drives. Like, what the hell's going on with this? Sounds like Gerard, maybe Judy Gerard could join us because it sounds like he has a relevant story.
About the Big D Club, apparently.
He said in all caps, "Oh, I have a creepy story about that." There he is.
No, it's hello everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Gerard.
Jeff, book is incredible, by the way. It's this weird, perverse way that these owners parade their friends and people they know in and out of the locker room. I was at Barclays covering a Nets Sixers game, and one of the Sixers owners was there with some people, like, you know, your media were waiting on one side to go in, whatever, and they got some friends. And he goes, oh, let's go in and say hello to the players. And the team guy comes out and says, oh, they're getting dressed. Oh, that doesn't matter. And, like, comes rolling in. And I'm just like, what the f is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, and it's a woman he's bringing in with him. And it's just like, it's like, look, you know what it's like. It's like, come see these big black men that belong to me. And it's gross what these owners do. Really, really disgusting. Sorry, just needed to share that.
Yeah, it's really like, look at my stable, like you said, right?
Really what
And please, at this time, sing and dance for me. I don't care if you won, lost, if you're sad, but you should shake hands and smile.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen those scenes, Gerard, and I don't understand. Like, I can't feel the urge, right? Like the idea that you'd want to go in,
right,
while people don't want to see you, and take your
Henry,
friends and family.
The whole idea, and Jeff, you know, because you've been in like the whole point of going in and like waiting for someone while they're getting dressed is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Like, just have them come out to the press room after. It's fine. Like, we don't need to be in there watching them lotion up. It's just stupid.
Well, throw being a woman in there. Boom.
Oh, right.
That's always fun.
I went to a WNBA All-Star game once, and I had assignments. I had to like write stuff, and I was with Anna Gebby, who I can only reference today because Jeff knows her. No one else will know that name. But she was basically like, nope. She's my boss. Like, she's my editor. But she's like, you are not going in there. And I'm like, oh, okay. I will write my story with the limited access I can get from people who happen to still want to talk to the media once they enter the hallway. You know, like, which is not the best.
Oh.
But this is like the Donald Sterling line was like, you know, look at those beautiful black bodies or whatever. So we can, you know, we all agree that that's crazy. But how is it different from what Gerard has seen in, like, the sentiment's exactly the same as what you saw, I'm guessing, in the last couple of years, right? Yeah. Yeah.
No, it is no difference. And I don't know. I mean, it's like one of those things, the horse is well out the barn door, right? So although with COVID, right, and everything being different, maybe we shift this whole thing now, and maybe it's a lot different going forward. I don't know.
I think it matters, like, the storytelling around it. Like what is happening here, right? Like, we've had this for too long. It's just like, oh, you know, there's going to be an owner, and he's going to be kind of eccentric, and that's how it is. Like, but now the world's changed, and now it's like, no, what's happening here for real? Like, why is this person here with this authority? Like, this is weird.
It's to your point, Henry. Like, because think about it, right? Like, it's all different stakes, right? Like you said, these guys are software people, whatever, they're whoever they are. And they're wealthy and whatever, but they're not cool, right? Until they own a sports team. Now they're cool because, and it's like what anybody else has. Right? If you get a new Maserati and you're having a barbecue at your house, you're going to bring your buddies into your garage with your new Maserati, right? Oh, look at this. It's the same thing. It's just with people, which makes it gross and disgusting, right? Like,
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Gerard, is that a hand towel hanging up behind you?
It is. It's for my sneakers.
It's a hand towel and then like a collection of masks, right?
And See, Adena knows. Hand towels here. The running mask is next to it, and the regular everyday masks are next to the running mask.
Very nice. A very nice balance. You know, it's very nice
Listen,
balance.
you gotta do what's good.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, it's a true story. Like, as a woman, at one point in time, I was like, "Are those bras hanging out?" I was just
I had
like,
that. I wondered.
when
that.
I first saw it, I was like, "Ugh."
Kirsty Oshman was like, "Are those panties on your thing?" I was like, "No." What's wrong with you? No.
Gerard very often joins us with a like a street scene of Paris behind
Yes.
him.
Yes.
And there's a certain value in that, I guess.
Sometimes I'm like, forget Paris today. We gotta come with the real.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not. I guess I did send even today. I was like, I think they're definitely masks, like not underwear.
They do look like underwear, I'm not gonna lie.
All gay. If that's what you all want to think and you want to let your minds go there, by all means.
Listen, it's a pandemic show. Keep it real. You know what I'm saying?
I keep it 100 on here.
I'll tell you one other owner reputation laundering thing that just struck me was, I think maybe Friday, Saturday, Twitter kind of did a lap with like, Mark Cuban is so smart with his clever idea to give people $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
I'm like, you fucking idiots. Like, this is a 50-year-old idea, a 1,000-year-old idea. Like, and even in the current political cycle, it's very much identified with somebody else. Like, he's just trying to get the word Mark Cuban into the sentence, right? Like, don't fall for it. Like, he's just, yeah.
And really,
Mark Cuban,
$1,000 a month? Really? Like,
listen. What is that supposed to pay for my light bill?
Yeah.
Mark Cuban
Basically,
actually
let them eat cake, you know.
Yeah, he started. So get this. I don't know if this is trying to butter us up, but Mark Cuban he donated $100,000 to the National Association of Black Journalists for COVID-19 relief efforts because a lot of journalists were out of their jobs.
Ooh, $100,000. That can go a lot, let me tell you.
So he donated to the NBC. I mean, we were grateful for it, you know.
Sure.
But you know, you wonder, do you come after Mark Cuban as a journalist if you got a grant after that, or do you subconsciously you write differently about them? It's a good look.
Oh, I'm reading the Robert Caro book on Lyndon Johnson, which is admittedly
one of my favorite books
ever.
ever.
Oh my God. But yeah, my view of politics has gotten extremely dark. Like, yeah, Mark Cuban knows exactly what he's doing with that money, for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
it's really just because so he doesn't have to pay taxes. Like, I would love to see. Okay, so we got Trump's, right? Like, what are the rest of the rich ass people's taxes look like? Is this abnormal? This isn't abnormal.
I think it is abnormal to a certain degree.
Agree.
I think the extent of what I know this is dead turf, but that there are people out there that they consider this guy a business genius is insane. It is insane. Seriously, it is insane. It makes the idea that you would keep getting this information and still be like, no, he's a businessman. People from my hometown, my little hometown, he's a genius. You don't know what you're talking about. He's so smart. He's a genius. He wants what's best for us. He's a genius. He's really smart. He's making America great again. He's really making it's insane. And no matter what you say, no matter how many times you go like this, they don't listen. They don't wake up. I swear to God, they don't wake up. I've never seen anything like this. And like, people would joke and be like, I know I'm supposed to talk about my book, I guess, but like, people would be like, it's a cult. And I'd be like, no, it feels like a cult. It feels like they won't wake up. And it reminds me of the final scene in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where you realize that all these people have just been consumed by these alien. It makes no sense that you keep getting proof that this guy's a con man. I keep saying over and over, my big thing for years has been, I'm from New York. I was in New York on 9/11. 9/11 deeply, deeply impacted me and my family. Mm-hmm. And this happens. First, Trump says, I sent 100 of my men down to help at the scene, and I'm sending 125 more. He sent nobody. Right. Then he said, I donated $10,000 to 9/11 fund. He donated $0. Then he said in speeches since, I was down there and I helped. He did nothing. He wasn't down there. He took a tour the next day walking around. You are lying about freaking 9/11 in your own city. He said he saw Muslims celebrating atop buildings as the buildings were going down. That is a lie. Like, he lies repeatedly about the worst tragedy in modern history. To me, that is disqualifying. Like, and I just
you hear
want
the
to
interview. He gave an interview right then saying that he now has the tallest building downtown.
It's on YouTube. You can hear him
Yeah.
saying that.
Did he just say that? Like it's recent?
No, in real time as 9/11
as the tower was going down.
Oh, as
He's
the
literally-
tower. Oh my fucking God.
Yeah. He's like, oh, well, now I got the tallest building down there. I'll tell you what, it's a big building.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I forgot about all those 9/11 things, but my reference to All Billionaires is the show and also the show Billions, which I binged during pandemic.
Absolutely.
And Bobby Axe, 9/11. If anybody watched, I'm just gonna leave it at there. He made all his money. Exactly.
Jeff, I can bring this all back to your book. I think I have a. There's a chance this is going to work. Not a great chance, but potentially Donald Trump is our Chris Childs, and we're going to end up closer together.
Oh,
See what I did there?
Wow. Very nice.
Wow.
Wow.
That was a reach, but okay.
Wow.
Leave it to
But I didn't know. I did learn from your book that like the Lakers didn't know if they really had like the social fabric to be there for each other until in the wake of Chris Childs scrapping with Kobe. The rest of the Lakers were like, "That's our guy. We got your back, Kobe." That actually was like, this is.
It was a moment.
Was meaningful.
It was a nice moment.
That two-piece.
A two-piece and a biscuit.
And a biscuit.
So awesome. And then he goes, after the game, the one of the reporters is like, do you have anything you want to say to Kobe? And Chris Childs goes, yeah, tell him I'm in room 928 of the so-and-so hotel. He can come see me tonight if he wants.
Oh.
Awesome. Chris Childs was a badass. He really was.
That was Mark Berman. He said that too.
Yes.
What hotel room to find me in? I love it. It's like, oh, you want to scrap right now? I'm gonna be right here.
Let's do this. Very bubble-like, right? We can do that.
As long as we're wildly unfocused, can I tell a quick Mark Berman story? Which is I'm just gonna tell it with your permission. So I went to Vegas Summer League maybe like 2007, and the only rental car they could get was a ridiculous like I think it was a convertible PT Cruiser, something like this, right? Not a particularly nice car, but an ostentatious car. And of course, it's hot. It's Vegas in the summer. So Mark Berman wants a ride, and as soon as I'm like, sure. So as soon as he gets to my car, for some reason the front passenger seat will not lock back. Like it has been pulled forward, and you push it back, and it just will flop forward the whole time. And so he's like trying to sit in it, super unsafe, right? So I'm like, I guess you got to get in the back, Mark. And it's a two-door car. So now I got to put the top down because we got to fit Mark in there. And so the top down. And I am now chauffeuring Mark Berman on the Vegas Strip. And we're stopped at a red light, and there's a homeless guy who sees this scene, and he looks at us, and he looks at Mark, and he goes, oh, yeah, I used to have all this shit, too.
Only in Vegas.
Only in Vegas.
Can I just add, there was a period in time when if you went to rent a car at Avis, you had a 70% chance of getting a PT Cruiser. It was the weirdest thing ever. It was almost like they way overproduced PT Cruisers and gave them the Avis at a big discount. I was always getting PT Cruisers.
They look like mini hearses.
Yeah, they really did.
They're ugly as shit too.
I had another, I'm just telling mental car stories now. So I went to Hampton, Virginia for the Allen Iverson softball summer fundraiser classic thing, whatever it was called. And so the way I guess when we get there is you fly, I think, to Newport News, and then there's a rental car place there which has like one car. I'm not even kidding. And so they take you on a bus for half an hour. Like I paid for a car, but I don't even have a record of like just car, right? It's just you get what you get. The bus driver drives me forever. We're like off airport property, and there's kind of like a dirt lot with a like glittery blue, like not a factory color convertible Mustang. And he's like, keys are in it. Like, that's your car. And I'm like, oh, wow. So the first place I have to go is, the softball games are happening. Like this is, Allen Iverson has, organized a pretty big event. I think there may be 50 softball teams competing in a park all day. And there's other stuff happening in a stadium at night. And, so I pull into the park, and basically the whole park shuts down because of my car. Wow. Everything, everyone's like, whoa. And I'm like, I'm just the freelancer.
I would have
Inside
been
Stuff
like,
magazine. But
you sound like a drug dealer rolling around in a glittery ass blue. You should have just ran with it. Like, my name's Coke White or whatever. Like,
how long do you think I got away with that? Like, do I have the personality for that, Adena? Would you say?
I mean, don't open your mouth. What were you gonna say, Joe?
I was like, he's in Newport News, and like he's a white guy in his blue. It's just like it's perfect. You're like, yep,
Yeah.
5-0.
That too.
Literally everybody was nervous, and it took me like half an hour before like everybody wasn't just staring at me anymore. I'm like, oh, shit. Sorry about the car.
Sorry, it's all they had. Judy says the second they made more than one PT Cruiser was overproduced. Facts.
Yeah. So what's next, Jeff? You've written. This is your 9th book. 9 books. 9 books.
I don't have a
How many
job,
did Hemingway write?
I don't have a job. Hemingway wrote more than 9. Yeah.
Good
next?
company.
I'm doing a Bo Jackson biography.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So.
Wow, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I think so. If you're ever bored one day and you're just like sitting around tinkling on YouTube, type in Bo Jackson. It's ridiculous, the level of highlights. And
His level of like athleticism, like in his whole 30 for 30, he did that whole like crab apple story when he was little. I'm like, what? He was a freak show. Like,
even I always tell people who are unfamiliar, just put in YouTube Bo Jackson and wall, and watch him climb the wall in Baltimore. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
It's incredible.
After I saw the Bo Jackson 30 for 30, first of all, I also just covering sports. I think every injury I get is also a sports injury every time. So like I fell down the stairs after watching the doc, and I was like, I can't move too quick or else my hip is gonna be like Bo's and it's gonna catch the vein in the artery. My mom's like, you're not Bo Jackson. Get off the floor. Get off the floor. Kind of thing. I always think I have like, a bruised hip. I always think like I have an ACL injury and the doc's like, or I need Tommy John surgery, and they're like, no, you just bruised your elbow.
But you're thinking like Bo Jackson, and that's what matters.
Yeah, I think like Bo Jackson. What would Bo do?
He came back and after that, and he played several years of Major League Baseball with an artificial hip that like a grandma in 1990 would have. It's the most amazing thing ever. I mean, running at full speed with a limp, with a hip that's just made of plastic. It was one of the most amazing things ever. Yeah.
Wait, did everybody know that in real time? That's what happening?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Are you working with him? Like, is he participating in the book?
No, I mean, I talked to him, but he's not. I'm writing about it, not with him.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds great. What else? Do you have any other Lakers stories? We have like well, here's what's happened. Judy, our very professional producer, does not like us to run over. And we start to get really nervous towards the end of the hour. So if there's anything else you want to say about your incredible book, now would be the time.
I can give you the quick minute how I interviewed J.R. Ryder's story.
Oh, I want that. Yeah.
All right, real quick. I didn't have a phone number for J.R. Ryder, but J.R. Ryder spent 1 year with the Lakers. Mm-hmm. J.R. Ryder does not have the best reputation as far as being stable. He had threatened a few reporters, but I wanted to try to talk to him, so I had an address. So I drive to his house one day, and I knock on his door, and the little kid answers. No one knew I was coming. And I'm like, hey, I'm looking for J.R. Ryder. And the door closes. This woman comes to the door. And I'm like, hey, I'm a reporter. I'm looking for J.R. Ryder. Door closes. I hear 2 people screaming behind the door. The door opens again. It's J.R. Ryder. He goes, who are you? I'm like, hey, my name's Jeff Pearlman. I had a book with me. I'm like, I'm working on a book about the Lakers and blah, blah, blah. Bro. No, man. Bro. You do not just bro. You show up. You fucking kidding me, bro? Fucking just show up at someone's house? Are you fucking kidding me? He opens the door and he comes out. It's like, bro, I'm telling you, bro, that's so not cool. What's that book you have with you? I go, it's a book I wrote about the U.S. event. He goes, is that Trump in that league? I go, yeah. So what are you doing? Doing a book about the Lakers, Shaq, Kobe era. All right, man. I'll talk to you. He gave me his phone number. He couldn't talk there, but I got 2 hours with J.R. Ryder on the phone. And I truly thought, because J.R. Ryder, one of the things he did in my book twice, when he was upset with reporters, he went up to them real quiet and just goes, with dead seriousness, he goes, I know where your family lives.
Wow.
Drive away. But he was great. So it always pays a knock on the door. Unless
you know where his family lives. So that's cool.
Now I know where his family lives. He doesn't know where mine lives.
It's such a lesson for young journalists. Just knock on the door.
Knock on the door.
Bro.
You know,
I don't know if that was the lesson JR wanted you to get.
You know, by the way, when anybody's saying bro to you that many times, it can go one of two ways.
Two ways.
It's just like, oh.
Jeff's like backing off the
No,
stairs.
back up.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Hey.
Mhm.
All right, Jeff. The book's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate
And
it.
Adena, Gerard, as always, Judy. Thank you guys. We'll see you on Wednesday.